it, 'cause it was there. We're art sluts.
Today I have the honor of interviewing the hardest working champion of the underdog, Ruth Leitman. For over 35 years, Ruth Leitman has been a step ahead on social justice issues like immigration, income disparity, and women's rights. Her foresight has led to multiple awards, as well as being featured on NPR, The Tonight Show, and Conan O'Brien. Her documentaries include Wildwood, New Jersey, Lipstick and Dynamite, and No One Asked You. Let's get to it. This is kind of turning the tables a little bit. I know that you've done some podcasts, but you're usually on the other side of the camera, or microphone in this case. But I figure I'll just jump right in, and you can, if you want to take it in any different direction, go. Have fun.
I'm just nosy, Anne. That's really...
I know. I am too. I'm a very curious person. So I watched Wildwood, New Jersey, which I absolutely loved. I mean, it was I just want to say it was delicious. It was just like eating snacks over and over and over. And I was reading that it went viral 15 years after the original release. And I was wondering, what's your experience of being an overnight success?
That was my virgin voyage, that film, that Wildwood, New Jersey. No, I mean, it's so funny, too, because, I've made a lot of films since then. And so, in 2009, and it's funny, it was the perfect storm how that all happened. So I can sort of explain that. It was July 4th weekend. Jersey Shore had just come on the air.
I wondered.
One of my then 15-year-old girls in the film was now a 30-something-year-old Real Housewives of New Jersey character, Dina.
Wow.
Dina, for the Real Housewives of New Jersey fans out there. And Lana Del Rey took 25 shots from my very first film.
Yes.
And put them in her first music video. Because, she's a filmmaker.
Oh.
And so it was like the perfect storm. So all of a sudden, people started reaching out to me looking for it. And so we made it available. And the other part of the perfect storm is that a writer who worked for Jezebel and Gawker wrote really thoughtful things about the women and girls in Wildwood, New Jersey. And, people don't say nice things about women and girls from New Jersey. They're usually very much about what they look like, and they're disparaging. And so, and he wrote to me wanting to do this piece, and I proceeded to ignore him because I was, whatever film I was working on at the time, and I was like, why do people want to talk to me about my first film? Mm-hmm. And then it took a long time for me to sort of embrace it, because what happened is the film just started to take on a life of its own. It had a life of its own after that, a second life, a third life. It's about to have, I think, its fourth life, where we actually have a distributor for it, and we're going to release it on Blu-ray right after the first of the year, and do like a theatrical run with it, which I'm really excited about, because it's very nostalgic, and it's the film that I learned so much on. For any techno goons out there, it's shot on Super 8 in the 90s.
Oh wow!
Which makes it look like the 80s, which is part of the appeal, I guess, because it looks so retro. The kids love the 80s, right?
Do you fools have absolutely any idea where you are? Of course not. Welcome to hell! Whoa, 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 those wildwood days. Those wild, wild, wildwood days. Oh, baby, every day is a holiday.
We do have the finest boardwalk in the country.
Turtle escape. Wildwood is like a turtle escape. So, it's something special. Oh, there's nothing like it.
The tram car, please.
I met her a couple of weeks ago, but we hooked up tonight together, and I'm probably gonna be with her for the rest of the summer.
It's different every night. Be careful! Don't talk to no strangers. Don't you go off the boardwalk. Most people think we're between 15 and 18.
Yeah.
We had no idea where it went. Like, sort of in the right direction, but not exactly. So we waited, and like 4 months later, it just came naturally. That's my first section.
I'm outgoing, but she's real outgoing. She's
Everything that I am.
just woke up, starving. Right now, I gotta think.
If you ask me, women always have a strike up. We've always got our bodies, if you keep it in shape, and you've always got the check to cash, no matter which way you look at it.
Like, if anybody starts with, like, me or anyone, like, our really
I'll
close
get
friend,
into it.
she'll get into it, and she'll
get
be
away.
like, yo, just get away.
I won't get laid out. I'll just be like, look, that's my friend. If you're going to start with her, you're going to have to start with me.
I got arrested for fighting. I put some girl in the hospital. We were walking down the boardwalk, she sprayed me in the eyes with a mace, so I beat her up.
It's like, yeah, it's like 30 or 40 years back. Yeah, the one of the things that I thought was so great was just the very genuine discussions about sex, sexuality, violence, sexual aggression, just a lot of women's issues that were discussed in a very matter-of-fact way that I thought was really refreshing and insightful.
Turns out I like women who fight. Because
So
women
that's
have to
it.
fight.
True.
Steve says I like to fight, and I do like to fight because we have to fight. And I'm kind of laughing about it. I come from Philadelphia. Girls like to get in fist fights. That's how I grew up around that. I wasn't a fighter, but I always had somebody who wanted to fight me.
And so, what did you do when you were approached?
I was pretty wimpy about it, but I guess I was, I had like a little bit of bravado, but when Judy Patone got on my bus, and she wasn't supposed to be on my bus because she wanted to kick my ass, I had to grow a pair a little bit.
Judy, send me an email.
I think it was the kind of thing where I was always really intrigued by Philly girls wanting to fight. And so that's where I fought in Philly during the year, and during the summer they would go to Wildwood and, learn about love and sex and boys and fighting. And I just really like that whole like vacation town aspect of it. It was where firemen and policemen's kids and, people who worked in the trades, their kids all went to the beach. And that wasn't the upbringing necessarily that I had. So I was always really intrigued by that. On the Jersey Shore, where you went on the Jersey Shore was very much dependent on your socioeconomic class. And it was like very, very much about class, very much about race, and so Wildwood was something that was really particular to that, and it is really nostalgic. It looks the same now in a lot of ways as it did then, and I really love that about it. And I was a photographer for many years.
Yeah, I read that, and I kind of knew that.
And that's sort of what I did first. And Wildwood gave me permission to a little bit more in a way to become a filmmaker. I went to school for photography and film. I was, a social documentary photographer. That's what I like to do. And I had been taking pictures in Wildwood for years. And so it was as simple as I wanted to hear what people had to say. I wanted to give them a voice.
Is it challenging to film like real world topics that may have changed by the time the film is released? What's that process like?
Yeah, I think that in the beginning, like with a film like Wildwood, it was very much, I'm a very much observational filmmaker, although in that there's a lot of fly on the wall interviews. observing, just allowing people to just be themselves and just sort of capturing that. And then, it wasn't until I continued to make films that I realized that social justice versus social documentary, but like social justice issues were really important to me. And I realized very early on in my life, really when I first picked up a camera as a photographer too, that a woman with a camera has a certain power. A woman with a camera, and we've seen this over the years, can be sort of perceived as dangerous. A woman with a camera can take back control of her life when maybe she lost some of that control. And I really attribute a lot of that to being a survivor. I think about this, and I talk about this a lot now because if no one asked you, but I am a working photographer, filmmaker for decades because I'm alive, because I had an abortion, too, actually, right in a row, with the same person who I was in a very abusive relationship with when I was a teenager. And so that gave me permission to, I think, go out into the world and share those experiences, but also to empower myself and hopefully empower other women and girls to find the thing that they are most passionate about and use that to escape and thrive.
You read my mind. That was my next question, was just there's this common theme of the underdog and the survivor, especially in the topic of women. So I appreciate you sharing that with me. And I agree. It's difficult. There's still such a taboo around the topic of abortion, and there's all different kinds of circumstances that happen. So your film, No One Asked You, fantastic. And Lizz Winstead, what a star to be able to turn your camera on.
She is amazing. Liz is the smartest one in the room and the funniest one in the room, and also was a lifeline for me. So, what happened there was in 2012, I was traveling around with my film, Tony and Janina's American Wedding, which is an immigration documentary. And we were invited to a conference called Netroots Nation. And Netroots Nation, it's an incredible conference that happens every year in the summertime. Just happened last week. It happens every summer. That is a gathering of people who work in activism around issues. And then there will be all of these different organizations there. National Federation of Teachers was there that year, and all of these different, activist groups. And Liz was there in 2012 while I was there.
Gotcha.
Liz was there when I was there showing my immigration documentary. And the reason that film was significant at the time kind of is now again.
That's what I was kind of thinking about. Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking to, things changing when you make, or not changing when you make films.
As you will hear, Ruth Leitman was at the forefront of immigration reform, which led to progress. Ruth's film, Tony and Janine's Wedding, is an example of how art can move the needle forward.
I'm always a second class in America, and we know about this. I love this country. I love it. I'm a cleaner. I'm doing a cleaning service. My accent, my everything, we always not the number one, number two. My son, he was born here. He is American.
Chodźcie, idziemy zobaczyć kołyskę Grojane.
Yeah, I'm proud of you. Yes?
Okay, let's go. Hey! Come on. Out! Hey, man, he's saying goodbye to his family. Okay. Let's go. There's no respect.
This is not the civil rights question of the 1960s. This is the human rights question of the 21st century.
When there are 12 million people in hiding in this country. That is a problem that all of us, black, white, brown, must solve together as one nation. That is an American problem, and we have to solve it.
Solidarity!
I wish I was in the land of cows. Old times are not for.
Federal immigration agents today arrested more than 60 employees in a raid on a Maryland temporary agency.
An unfair, inhumane, irrational system.
Congressman Emanuel, Congressman Gutierrez, will you help me to save my family?
He speaks English. He's going to become an American citizen. Shame on any institution that has a panel such as this and then questions their Americanism.
I take this obligation clearly.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
We believe in your message of change and of hope. And hope in our community means ending the deportation and ending the separation of our families. And we want you to keep your promise to our community. Stop taking children and mothers and separating them. Give that child his mother back. Let her out of jail. She's not a criminal.
To nawet nie jest życie, tylko to jest co to jest. To nie jest wegetacja, tylko to jest jakaś próżnia, nie wiadomo co to jest w ogóle.
He don't want to talk about all the problems, immigration problems. He knows he's going to come back, you know, soon. Not this year, but next year. This is his country. Well, what happened if she's not coming here? So, you know, if it's going to be 10 years penalty. I say, you know what? I'm going to take the American passport, I'm going to take the scissors, and I'm going to put it here. Here's, you don't like me, I don't like you. I'm going back.
I've been on the outside in zones of the lightning hearted, singing my way out of realities before they started. And I could tell you stories about the other side of sameness. I've run with the possessed, the anarchistic, and the self-proclaimed blameless.
So in that film, Tony and Jeannie's American Wedding, it was a tiny little film about a Chicago family. The wife was deported. She and her son went back to Poland. They were from Poland. And I was hired to make this short little documentary piece about them. And then when it was over and Janina, the wife, was deported, I was left with, you know, what can we do? How can we use storytelling and their story as a way to create some change? And long story short, our little immigration film became a New York Times international breaking news story when the family in the film was reunited, because we became a thorn in the side of the Department of Homeland Security. Great. And I feel like that's very important, because you can use media, whether it's visual media or audio podcasts like you're doing, you can use visual media as a way to really hammer home and highlight something, and it's how you bring attention to it. And this was during the Obama administration, and you know, this was one particular story, but there were a lot of immigration activists around the country who said, we need his story to help tell our story. We need this white family to help tell the larger immigration story, because our system is broken and no one is really talking about that. It's not about borders, it's about a shitty deal that happened between Clinton and Newt Gingrich in a midnight hour, you know, that was going to be fixed in the 80s, and then it wasn't.
Ruth Leitman shared a parallel life story with Lizz Winstead, which led to her most recent film, No One Asked You. Comedian Lizz Winstead is the founder of Air America and former head writer for The Daily Show, as well as a world-class comedian and founder of Abortion Access Front.
I was there, and I was showing the film, and then Lizz, at the exact same time, was there because she had just written her book of essays, Liz Free or Die. And in that book, she tells her abortion story, and it not only was it funny and heartbreaking and profound, but it also really reflected a lot of my own story. And so I realized, wow, at some abortion clinic in Minneapolis, Liz is having an abortion. At the same time, I'm having mine in Philadelphia, because it was basically happening at the same time. And both of us were trying to escape abusive relationships. And I was so blown away by her telling of that. And then, you know, I got to hear her perform that, and I got to see her do that live. And I'm definitely not a performer. I'm always behind the camera. I'm never in front of the camera. And I was so intrigued by that. That was 2012. Cut to, it is literally the night that Trump was elected in 2016. And I said to myself, what the fuck am I gonna do? How am I gonna survive this? I don't know, because, you know, again, I'm from Philly, New Jersey. We knew him. Like, people in Philly, New York, New Jersey, we were very familiar with him over the years, because we saw all of his failed businesses. You know, we saw how he took, you know, everybody's got a story about how Trump took advantage of some coat check girl by not paying her a tip or something. Right. And it was the next night, and Liz was on MSNBC, as she so often is and was at the time. And I learned about what she was doing with her organization, and I wrote to her and her communications director right away and said, I'd love to make a film about you. And fortunately, structurally, they were getting ready to go on the Vaginal Mystery Tour, the 16-city tour across the battleground states of the South and the Midwest. And they said yes, because they knew how much the media had been underreporting about abortion access. And that is a big part of how we landed where we are right now on the issue in America. Is I think you had a lot of people in this country, and you still do really, had a lot of people who were saying, oh, nothing's going to happen to Roe. When you have people like Liz with a megaphone and you know, other people in, you know, as part of her organization basically saying, oh yeah, this they've been chipping away at this since 1973. This is their time.
Long before the reversal of Roe v. Wade, Ruth already had her camera pointed toward women's health reform and abortion access. Her collaboration with Lizz Winstead was a perfect partnership in tracking the attacks on access to women's health care. No One Asked You follows Lizz Winstead through battleground states as women's rights are being taken away. Here is a clip of Lizz Winstead being interviewed by Sarah Silverman on The Daily Show from 2023.
Wow, you guys spruced up the place since the last time I was here.
You're doing pretty good over here.
Yeah, I mean, it's
come a long way.
I mean, I would say so. If you watch some of the old episodes, you could see light switches.
You really created this whole idea of poverty news, you know? I mean, did you know how groundbreaking that would be at the time?
Well, I knew that the media was consistently disappointing, and so it seemed like low-hanging fruit. Especially when the show caught on, and instead of the media being like, you know, maybe we should really be investigating stories. They were like, funny graphics. That's what the public wants. Like,
they stole the wrong thing. So you founded Abortion Access Front.
I did.
And do you see this as a kind of a natural evolution from The Daily Show for you?
100%.
Well, because they explain what it is, but they deal with abortion with humor.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is, whether it was this show, whether it was Air America Radio, wherever I went, it's like knowing that you can expose hypocrisy with humor and knowing that done well, you can make change. It kind of was a natural evolution because no one was talking about abortion. People siloed it, they weren't talking about it. And so the reason I created it was because I wanted to speak truth to power. Also, if everybody felt freaked out when Roe v. Wade fell. Like, did all you feel like, what do I do? I wanted to give people an answer to that question. So with Abortion Access Front, we decided what we want to do is create programs that folks can jump into. We'll meet you where you are. If you have 10 minutes, an hour to give, we have fun things in the streets. We can help you legislatively. We have this great program called Operation Save Abortion. It's pretty simple. It's a 5-part series. Get together with your friends, do it, and learn how you can actually do more than just march, because that just feels like you're an anger fluffer at that point.
Right.
Where's the release?
Anger fluffer.
So, I feel like people really want to get involved. And so with us, it's like, we just watched the Super Bowl, $100 million ads by people who are funding anti-abortion garbage, and we're having bake sales to try to get people to get services, right? So, I'm not going to say you should donate, but you should donate.
So you started Abortion Access Front, also known as Abortion AF.
Yes. We have very cool shirts if you want to really go in hard.
Yeah. So you founded that in 2015.
Yeah.
What did Lizz Winstead in 2015 think abortion rights would be in 2023?
Well, Lizz Winstead, we kind of lightly started this, and you were there in 2014, because I knew it was going to get worse. I've been sounding this alarm forever, because it was happening in the states, and nobody seemed to understand state politics. Nobody understood that, the reason Roe v. Wade fell is because an abortion case in Mississippi made it to the Supreme Court. Now, if you don't think Mississippi should be deciding how you live your reproductive life, then you've had to get your shit together and start paying attention. And so that, for me, it was always that. And
I will say this, and we have to wrap it up, but when shit started happening in Georgia, in Hollywood, well-meaning coastal elites were like, I'm pulling my production from Georgia. I'm not going to play in Georgia. And you brought 3 abortion providers.
Yeah, reproductive justice activists, yeah.
And from Georgia to Los Angeles to sit down with these people, and they said, please don't take your productions away from Atlanta. You know, please. This is what's giving people jobs and bringing an influx of all this wonderful stuff for people. The people shouldn't be punished. If you want to, stick up for the people of Georgia, then boycott the giant donors that are giving these politicians money to make these laws. And I thought that was very.
Ask the people who are living in the places and center the people who are most harmed all the time, and they'll give you the answers to help you be a better activist and make the world better.
Yeah. A lot of people are seeing their rights being stripped away, and it's really scary. What can people do?
I'm just going to say, if you go to aafront.org, we can guide you locally and nationally to where you need to be. We are connectors, we're unifiers, and we're the people who are out there who really want you to do something. It will help you figure out what that something is.
Yeah, I will say I was in Atlanta 2 nights ago, and I went to Starbucks, and there was a woman working there who saw a pin on my backpack that said, keep your laws off my body. And she said she was so moved by it and so angry to be in a place where it is not legal to make your own decisions over your body. And the first thing I did was text Liz and say, what can I give her? What can I give? And she gave me an email address, said, give this to her, and this woman will tell her where in her area she can become active and what she can do. So thank you so much for everything you do. I love you.
Yeah, and I think it's part of the larger picture of women's stories and women's history. It's just underreporting, underdocumenting, under history of, kind of in all areas. So I really identify with what you're doing and what Liz is doing. And, I selfishly enjoy what I'm doing, but I also hope that at some point, maybe, like you said, you tell your abortion story and then it touches somebody and causes them to.
Yeah, I think right now abortion storytelling is really important. Just like telling stories of escaping, gender-based violence. I think that it's really important. Here's the thing, though: none of us should have to tell those stories, but we do. And so I think, because I think that there's a certain amount of like there can be tokenizing, fetishizing of that, but I think it's really incredible so that people can understand. I mean, I meet people all the time who say, "Oh, I can't believe," or I know people for years that say, "I can't believe that you went through something like that." And, it makes us who we are. There are gifts of those horrible experiences, and that is one of them. Feeling like you have a certain armor that's really strong, that can't really be penetrated.
I think in general women are stronger than men. Not to draw a firm line there, but that's kind of been my experience. So kind of on that same topic, you have been listed as one of the top female directors, which is fantastic, and you deserve it. But what's your reaction to being segmented by your gender in those type of accolades? Does it matter? Does it not matter?
Yeah, I never like that. I never like it. It's like when Nico Kay says female musician, and female producer, like, or women aren't really producers. There's always some man. And it's like fuck that. No, actually, I'm just, yeah. And yes, I make films that largely are about women, and certainly I've always had female crews. Always, 98% of the time. But I prefer, I think I won an award for this film at a festival, and it was the top, and I was the best woman director, but there wasn't a best man director. So when I list it, I just say best director because whatever. I guess all the best directors were women that year. I don't know.
Maybe. Oh
yeah,
God.
no, I never liked that. It's like female nurse. I don't know.
Right. It doesn't really make sense,
Female doctor, lawyer. It's yeah. I think it's time for those things to go away.
One thing that has been true in my life, and I think in some other women's lives, is that when you reach a certain age, it's like everything starts coming full circle to where you were at. I don't know if you have that same experience, but that's what my experience has been, is coming full circle to where I was 40 years ago.
Yeah. I will tell you what, here's something that I'm thinking about in my giving zero fuck stage of my life, because that's where we are right now. Right,
100%. Right.
If you would have told me, I'm going through the if you would have told me when I was out like trying to become a freelance photographer and how I did that and got to Atlanta from Philly and, worked on my own and then, and then moved on to making films and all of that. If you would have told me that we would be where we are right now today, A, I would have said, no way. And B, I would have said, why should I even try? And so I'm glad that I didn't know that we would be where we are now, because I love being behind a camera, and I love telling people's stories, and I love listening to what people have to say and telling their stories. And so I'm glad that it wasn't the barrier, but we have really done ourselves a disservice as a generation. Yeah, I'm definitely kind of going through that. And I also, just to knock my own industry for a second, because I like to disparage my own industry because they've done a terrible job, especially with women.
Same in music.
People of color too, for sure. Yeah, I'll get to my thoughts about the music thing in a minute. But the very idea that, I'm in an industry that's very unsustainable. Like, no, we can't make a living being documentary filmmakers. And so that was something else that I didn't realize. Oh, here are all these people who are doing it, and they're making one. And for me, it wasn't about making money, but it was about, being able to sustain myself and make another film and another film. It really is a film it's a very elitist kind of industry. Like, if you have family money, you can be a documentary filmmaker, and yet you don't necessarily have the life experience that makes you the right person to tell that story.
Interesting.
So that's something that I'm sort of reflecting back on. The music industry, I'm glad to see some strides recently, but the way I became a filmmaker in the first place is I actually wanted to be a music producer. And when I was a teenager, I did an internship at a recording studio when I was living in Philly, and I started doing a deep dive into who are the women who do this. And I'm going to date myself by saying this, but the year that I had this internship was the year that Steely Dan Asia came out, and there was a female assistant producer on that, assistant engineer, I think she was. And I was like, oh, whatever happened to her? Then I'm looking her up, and I'm looking her up. Women who worked in the industry then fell prey or they got out.
Yes.
And they were gone.
Well, and I think also there's that element of, I don't know if you've had this experience, but there's that element of, you know what, I just have to get to the next day and I have to accomplish whatever specific goal I have to in order to get the film out or to make my sales the next day or to release this album. And so you kind of gloss over some things that maybe you wouldn't have been okay, but because you gloss over them, then they become okay. It's very conflicting.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to elaborate on that.
This is where I'm at the point where I'm like, do I say, like, the stuff that I was a part of and that I witnessed, it was pretty nuts.
In the internship?
Yeah. I will just say that Drew Dixon and the film, that documentary film that she's in, Off the Record, that talks about her time in the music industry, is so groundbreaking and so revealing and so horrifying. And I've gotten to connect with her a little bit, on social media and stuff. And I had to just tell her, that I experienced some similar things. I wasn't in A&R, obviously. She was. I was, but she was so smart and trying to make a career. That was the other thing. It's like, how many A&R women were there? They just didn't exist. She existed. I mean, she was a little bit later than when I was trying to, work in a recording studio. I was fascinated by that, and I really wanted to do that. There was no way to do it unless you were willing to sleep with someone. There wasn't.
There's a story for you, I'll tell you. That would be a good one. I'm sure there's just limitless stories to tell.
Well, let me just say this.
Yes, go ahead.
I can say this. The person who was the engineer at the studio had a very successful career. Did he have to wear jewelry on his ankle later? Okay. Yeah, he did. Did he have to wear a big fat bracelet on his ankle later? Yeah, he did.
Wow.
That's vague.
No, I get
graphic.
It. I'm gonna switch gears a little bit, although we could probably go deep into that. So let me know if you want to come back to it. I also absolutely loved Lipstick and Dynamite, and I'm not the only one who loved that movie. I had seen it when it first came out and then watched it again a couple days ago. Was the television show Glow with Marc Maron, was that connected in any way with your film?
I'm a huge Marc Maron fan too, by the way. I just think he is
Me too.
Great. And actually, Nico Case was on his show the other day, and I am told that she talked about me on his show because of that, because of the film, and there's this whole connection to her aunt. I can kind of explain that, but when that series came out, I cannot tell you how many people contacted me and said, is this your show? Is this your show? And I was like, no, actually I had another show. We actually had a pilot deal on a show around my women's wrestling story, but it never went to series. And when Glow came out, and I did really like Glow. I thought Glow was good, but the stories of the women, the original women of wrestling, are infinitely more fascinating. I'm just going to say that, way more.
Oh my God. Here again, Ruth Leitman was ahead of her time with her 2004 documentary, Lipstick and Dynamite, that features women professional wrestlers in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Ruth interviewed the fabulous Moolah, Mae Young, Gladys Gillum, Ida Mae Martinez, Ella Waldeck, and Penny Banner. Let's take a listen to the official trailer for Lipstick and Dynamite, Piss and Vinegar, the First Ladies of Wrestling.
One of these people is the world's champion wrestler. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel.
Will the real
Fabulous Moolah, please stand up.
They were the first ladies of professional wrestling.
The men didn't like the girls because we would go out and steal the show. And of course, drop kicking was my forte. Scratch, bite, pull hair, thumb in the eye.
But the greatest force of change in the traditional pattern of American family life was the changed status of woman herself.
Sometimes, freedom is found outside the ordinary places. Sometimes, rules are meant to be broken. And sometimes, a woman's place is in the ring. Lipstick and Dynamite.
Yeah, and talk about sexual violence and the hurdles that they had to jump over just to make a living.
No, it's really crazy. And back to the Nico connection for just a second. So she and Kelly Hogan were doing some music for the film, and Nico was looking at a rough cut, and she sees this woman who has the same kind of unusual last name as her and kind of facial structure, looking like a little bit like a family member, Shevchenko from Custer, Washington, and she contacted, her grandmother about this, and her grandmother said, "Oh yeah, that's your Aunt Elsie."
Wow.
Yeah, she was in the roller derby, and then she became a wrestler. And so Nico just came out with an incredible, beautiful, and harrowing memoir. And she talks about, she connected with Nico through my film, and they did a radio interview together. And the whole inspiration for that was she needed to meet the strong women in her family because they had been lost to her. And through that, she was able to connect with her aunt, and that was great. And that was actually what she talked about on Mark Maron the other day. But no, that wasn't... It wasn't mine. I wish it was mine. I wish I had been on that show. Wish they would have talked to me about it. Because also, Lipstick and Dynamite has had a few incarnations. I wrote a script because I knew, I wasn't actually sure that was going to be a documentary. I just wanted to interview all of those women and figure out what was going to happen next. But I had these great interviews with them, and they were aging. They were not going to be around for that much longer, and they weren't. But I was also writing a script because there were a lot of things that happened during that time that they weren't willing to talk about, that they were too sort of old-fashioned to talk about, and that I knew that happened, and some of the people would talk about it. And so I wrote a script, and I was peddling that around. And in fact, I said, when I met Liz, I said, "Would you and Rachel Maddow have a little cameo in my wrestling script?" I think that was one of the things that I approached her about originally. I tried for a while to make that film. It was going to be really expensive, and then we had a pilot and series deal to turn it into a series, and then it didn't go to series. And then I started working on No One Asked You, which I worked on for 7 years. So I'm actually trying to go back to the fictionalized version of that because I really want to make it. It's really important to me.
I think that would be fantastic, especially have you worked in serialized before?
Well, actually, No One Asked You was going to be a series, nonfiction, and then other nonfiction, but no, I have not. I have not successfully sold a fiction series to a streamer. Really, that's their loss.
Is it because you need to put out?
I need to put out. I guess I need to. Now, it's too late. Funny that you should mention that. I think it really is time. And there's been some other, there was a film that came out in the last year were actually the author of the book that it was based on spoke to me and spoke to all of my wrestlers. I wanted to see that sort of come and go before I went back out with it, and so I'm planning to do that again, because right now, even though it's always been really hard to get documentary work funded, especially documentary work that's about hot button issues,
Right.
like women's health care,
Right.
not men's health care, women's health care, that it is really important to me to work in fiction, and it's also really important to me to work with comedy, and that's one of the things I learned in this, with this project, is that we really need levity now in a big way. And so I'm working on a couple projects that are fiction, and but everything that I do that's fiction is always based on something.
The thing I try to cheer myself up, which I want to know what you do, so I'll tell you what I do. I remind myself of my early punk rock years, and I remind myself that culture doesn't change through politics, it changes in other ways, community, arts, and so forth. How do you cheer yourself up when you get down about the subject matter that you're covering?
Well, first of all, I agree with you 100%. We're going to save us. Our politicians aren't going to save us. We're going to save us. And so that is community. So it really is. Community brings us joy. It makes us feel seen and heard and understood. I think that, how I'm getting it through I have to look at the water every day. So I'm in Chicago, but we also are most of the time are at an undisclosed location on the other side of the lake from Chicago, where we're really close to the water. So that really helps, looking at the water and knowing a lot of really funny people. Like, I'm not funny, but I know a lot of funny people, and that's helped a lot. And seeing the energy and the dust yourself offness that Liz has really helps, because like anytime anything horrifying happens in the world, like every hour right now, right, I think to myself, oh my God, how is Liz feeling about this? What is what's happening? How is she making herself feel better? And I'm watching her go out to see a bunch of shows, and I'm watching her connect with friends, and I'm watching what other people are doing, and I'm trying to do the same, because I have the tendency to be a complete workaholic. Like, I work all the time. Like, what's a weekend? I work all the time. And so I have to remind myself not to do that. And I have to remind myself that I work for myself, and in the middle of the day I can do whatever I want. I can screw off and take a walk, go have coffee, do whatever. And so that helps a lot. But we have to be ready for the long haul, and we have to be ready to talk to our friends and relatives and people who don't agree with us. There's a whole lot of people. Turns out, I lived in Atlanta for all those years, but there's a whole lot of people who I might have agreed with politically then, and then I go away and I'm like, the atmosphere has really started to take hold on people that I would have never thought would have become so staunchly conservative and I'm going to just say misguided. I think it's really important. Like, I do get some satisfaction out of saying, hey, we all have to do something. Like, literally everyone has to do something in order for things to change. And so it helps that I made a film about people who are showing people how to do things. It's like, if you have 5 minutes a month, you can do this. If you have 5 hours a month, you can do that. And I think that's really important, because I think that we have a lot of people in this country who are just going, well, I don't know what to do, so I can't do anything. Everything is bigger than me. It's too big. And I think that people feel better about being shown what they can do. And so I'm seeing a lot of joy in that, and gathering and community.
The core idea, the creative idea, like the pussy hat, those type of things seem to have impact, where when it's this 10-word thing that's, all trying to cover all bases or something, those tend not to. I don't know. Like No Kings, I thought was fabulous.
No,
Such
I
a good
think
idea.
all of these things are a good idea. I feel like people are waking up and they are saying, I have to get involved. If I want to take back my own country, I'm going to have to get involved. And I think, whether your issue is, abortion or it doesn't really matter what the issue is, gerrymandering, whatever it is, or all of those issues, I think people are realizing that. And that gives me joy, and that inspires me. We do need to be asking ourselves, why is women's health care a political issue?
Right.
And why is men's health care not? And why can doctors give out those blue pills like candy?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I think that we all need to be very unapologetically, as is said in the film, pro-abortion. Not pro-choice, pro-abortion, pro-healthcare, pro-decision-making.
Taking it away from the polite language and bringing it into the real life. Yeah, I agree with you on that for sure. I'm going to end my interview with acclaimed director Ruth Leitman by sharing the trailer for her newest film, No One Asked You, which is appearing at the film festival circuit internationally. To find out more about Liz and Ruth's film, go to nooneaskedyoudoc.com. To sign up to volunteer for Abortion Access Front, go to secure.everyaction.com. To learn more about Ruth Leitman and see what's next, go to ruthlessfilms.com.
Everybody please make some noise right now for Lizz Winstead.
I created The Daily Show, and I was the head writer there for 3 years.
Joining us now is my old friend Lizz Winstead.
You can't get birth control pills anyplace because if you menstruate, you're having an abortion. I would get people outraged, and then I couldn't give people a call to action. You don't make a ton of friends being the abortion comedian.
So I formed Abortion Access Front.
Happy Roe anniversary. Things are going great. 16 shows in 8 weeks in a van. Very Hunger Games for your vagina.
What are we calling it? The Vagical Mystery Tour.
We're not used to anybody offering to do something for us.
Yeah.
I'm the protest whisperer. That's sport to me.
Here I can laugh about it, but in the courtroom I can't.
If they overturn Roe versus Wade, we are closed immediately.
All around the country, they're influencing legislation.
This is what it means to be on the front lines.
Guys, listen to this. That's new.
You become a target.
He's spitting on me, girl. This is the clinic that's at the middle of the Supreme Court case that's going to overturn Roe v. Wade.
America, where are you? We can't check out. At the end of their day, they plot how they're going to terrorize us tomorrow. At the end of our day, we celebrate joy. We're not just here tonight. We're going to be causing trouble all week.
We'll be ready to fight and continue to fight.
This is not a march. This is a movement.
Thanks for listening to Art Sluts Radio.
Hey, if you identify with the Art Sluts, explore our herstory at artsluts.net. That's ARTSLUTS.net. And purchase downloads of our music wherever you stream music.
All contributions and purchases will go to support Planned Parenthood.
Currently, 21 states have limited access to women's health care, including abortion, and 15 of those have a total ban.
Talking about your abortion experience, voting and donating to support abortion rights will make a difference.
I hate to leave